righty. Good morning, commissioners, everyone, and over to you, Chair Harrington.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the fine year of 2026. This is our first business meeting of this new year. Clerk Moss, could you do us the honors, please?
Certainly, Chair Harrington. The Washington County Board of Commissioners, also meeting as the Board of Directors for Clean Water Services and all other county service districts, is meeting this regular session January 6, 2026. Commissioner Snyder?
Here.
Commissioner Willie?
Here.
Commissioner Fye?
Present.
Vice Chair Treese?
Here.
Chair Harrington?
Here. We have a long agenda today, so my apologies to those of you who signed up to speak during the ending public comment period. You're going to be here a little while. So would all members of the board, staff, and community please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're on to our first public comment period of the meeting. This is an opportunity for members of our community to come and share their thoughts with the board on any topic for up to 2 minutes an individual. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone who wishes to do so?
We do, Madam Chair. We have Dale Feek. Mr. Feek?
Go ahead, Mr. Feek.
Thank you, Chair Harrington and Commissioners. Kevin, the clerk, is passing out kind of a summary of what I already sent you in email form. And so the first thing I want to say is today, January 6th, 2025, is the anniversary of the Trump insurrection of the Capitol in 2021, a day of infamy and disgrace. And so the two things follow that have to do Timothy Snyder's warning from his book on tyranny, 20 Lessons, 20th Century. All of you have that book because I gave it to you. Lesson number 18 is be calm when the unthinkable comes. That's topic one. Topic two is Nicholas Kristof's statements from being in Venezuela, January 4th. That's where he was when he wrote that. He's been in Venezuela many times, and he has a good background and understanding of the political climate and what's happening in Venezuela. And so I've read a lot of stuff about what happened in Venezuela, back and forth. It can be positive and negative, but I trust his judgment more than anybody's. So what I've included in that is kind of a little summary of what he wrote, and then if you want to read more in detail, open the attachment that I gave you, because full attachment's not here. 36 seconds. As I will try to show, and this is Snyder, the present government invites a terror attack. Most of the people directing the relevant agents are incompetent. The next few layers down have been purged in cultural wars. Much of the remaining personnel have resigned, been fired, or demoralized. Resources have been diverted away from terror prevention. I don't have but 10 seconds. The big thing is, let me cite lesson 18 on tyranny. Be calm when the unthinkable arrives. Modern tyranny is terror management. Please finish reading that statement. Do not fall for it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Feek. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone else?
We had a Heidi Johnson sign up. I don't see her in the room at all, so we'll move to online. Is there any member online that wishes to provide public comment on any calendar topic for up to 2 minutes? Give you just a moment to utilize raise hand function. Not seeing any hands, Chair Harrington.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. Next, we're on to today's consent agenda, which has 13 different items. 2 sets of minutes, 3 items from Clean Water Services, 1 item from the Office of Community Development, 1 item from Facilities, Fleet, and Parks, 1 item from County Council, 1 item from Human Resources, 2 items from Health and Human Services, and 2 items from Land Use and Transportation. What are the wishes of the Commission regarding today's consent agenda?
Move to accept today's consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, Commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. Next, we're on to item E1, under Boards and Commissions, to accept the amendments to the Behavioral Health Council bylaws. This is an item that we had previously gone over in a work session in detail. So I'm asking for a motion to accept the revisions to the Behavioral Health Council bylaws and adopt the document.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, Commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. Next, we're moving on to public hearings, and we have 7 different public hearings and 7 different action items. So, hence my announcement earlier. So the first one is related to the recruitment materials and authorizing our national search consultant, Reftelis, to initiate the selection process for the new general manager for clean water services. We had an extensive work session on this, and we are ready to move forward with the public hearing on the recruitment brochure, the criteria for the recruitment and selection process, the criteria and standards for selection and the process. Oh, I'm just filling in time. Please. Here are our leads on the project: Heather Gantz from Reftelis, and Elizabeth Edwards, our Chief of Staff for Clean Water Services. And you'll just have to introduce your voices first.
Thank you so much, Chair. For the record, Elizabeth Edwards, Chief of Staff with Clean Water Services.
Heather Gantz, Senior Manager, Reftelis.
And thank you so much for the lead-in. You may have stolen many of my notes here this morning, which is great.
Repetition, please go over it.
So as you noted, we did have a lengthy discussion this morning in work session about the brochure that is waiting. There we go. I think I now have this clicker managed. The recruitment brochure and the general manager job description and timeline. We will be making some small changes as reflected in the conversation, some updates to photos and layout, but otherwise proceeding with the brochure in nearly the same in the same spirit and content as you have before you. We also wanted to quickly run through the timeline for the benefit of the public. Heather, do you want to walk us through?
These are just major milestones for the recruitment as we're here today, work session and public hearing to discuss and approve the job description and the recruitment brochure. Our goal is to go live on January 20th with the position so that we have time to incorporate the changes as discussed. We will have a work session in mid-February to further discuss and outline the selection process, so the interview process, interview questions, our panels. So we'll be digging into greater detail in that come February. We'll be delivering candidate materials from my initial interviews, February 25th, and we'll have a meeting on March 3rd in an executive session to discuss those candidates, and then we'll move into our interview and selection process with first round interviews March 11th and 12th and final interviews March 30th and 31st. We're keeping us moving.
So with that, and knowing that you have a lot on your agenda today, this is the requested action here. Any review or comment on the criteria and standards, providing the public with an opportunity to give comment on the recruitment and selection process, and then your approval to proceed in this space.
So we had extensive conversation at our work session, so I don't assume we need any other time for board comments and questions other than to say thank you once again for all the work that has been done. with the two of you as our leads and our coordinators on all of that, the employees who participated, Michelle Rios, consultant, looking at it from the managerial standpoint, core competencies, things of that nature, and all the different interviews, briefings that you've had with so many. So at this juncture, I'd like to open a public hearing and ask Clerk Moss if we have anyone who wishes to testify.
Thank you, Chair. Director Harrington, would anyone wish to testify on this public hearing as you've heard from Clean Water staff? Mr. Feek?
You don't need to go far. I was speaking to staff, that's all. Welcome, Mr. Feek.
Thank you, Chair Harrington and Commissioners. I appreciated listening at the work session, the presentation that was a little more detailed in here. I just have some personal comments to make about clean water services. I've attended the Clean Water Service Advisory Committee for at least 10 years before most of you even were around. I've followed their progress, and I've followed what they've done well and what they need to improve upon. One thing I read in the document here is it said that Clean Water Services will rely on a commission for input. I've attended the Clean Water Service Advisory Committee. That's not a commission, that's a committee. And I don't know if that was referenced to that or not. My experience in that committee is Clean Water Services has nominated people that goes more toward a development for industry. And they've ended up having done that. They've been concerned about design and construction standards. When you were first a commissioner, Trace, here, we had that as a debate. I disagreed with your decision, and you were really, I thought, unduly persuaded to vote against Clean Water Services in their design and construction standards, and I gave you direct feedback. I disagreed with that. And so my point I'm trying to make, Mark Jockers, former chief of staff, said in a budget committee meeting at the Clean Water, you don't have to, members of this Clean Water Committee, don't worry about anything, don't anything, just come to a meeting, have dinner, and okay the budget. Based upon your leadership, Chair Harrington, that has totally changed. There is now transparency in the meetings, they're recorded, there are minutes, there is major shift in the culture of Clean Water Services. I don't care what you say in these documents and recruit people. Get somebody from King County that's done clean water service. It's a national thing. Get highly qualified people to be a manager of it. I'm out of time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Feek. We'll make sure to do the word search and make it clear. There's the Board of Directors and there is CWAC, the Clean Water Advisory Committee, as you've talked about. So we're consistent. No problem. Scribner error.
Is there
Anyone
any other member in the auditorium that should probably public comment on this public hearing? Not seeing anyone go forward, raising their hands. Is there any member online via Zoom that should probably public comment? I'll give you just a moment to utilize raise hand function. Not seeing any hands. Director Harrington.
Thank you. And with that, I'll close today's public hearing and ask for a motion to adopt the recruitment materials and authorize Reftelis to initiate the selection process for general manager for Clean Water Services as documented.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, directors. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. Job well done. Onward we go into the work of 2026. Next, we're going to shift our attention over to housing. I'd like to ask for a motion to read ordinance number 913 by title only. Do we have such a motion?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. General Counsel, could you please read the ordinance by title only?
Certainly, Chair. Ordinance 913, an ordinance amending Washington County Code, Section 3.48.020C to conform nonprofit corporation low-income housing tax exemption to ORS 307.541.
Thank you. I'm not seeing any staff, so we've previously had presentations on this. So at this juncture, I'm going to open a public hearing. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone who wishes to testify today?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did not see anyone sign up in advance for this public hearing. Is there any member in the auditorium who wish to comment on this public hearing as you've read in the staff report? Not seeing anyone raising their hands or coming forward. Is there any member via Zoom that wish to provide public comment? Give you just a moment to utilize raise hand function. Not seeing any hands. Chair Harrington.
Thank you. Clerk Moss, could you take, we had a motion to,
So you need another motion.
yes, we need a motion to adopt proposed ordinance number 913 as read by title only.
I move to adopt 913.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk Moss, could you do the roll call, please?
Certainly, Madam Chair. Commissioner Fry?
Aye.
Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
Commissioner Willie?
Yes.
Vice Chair Treese?
Aye.
Chair Harrington.
Yes. Ordinance passes unanimously 5-0. Next, we'll move on to a ordinance of a different color, this one related to land use. Do we have a motion to read proposed A engrossed ordinance 908 by title only? All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand. Thank you, it's unanimous. General Counsel, could you please read this ordinance by title only? No. I'm on,
I'll just note that the, right,
sorry, I
the
skipped a
agenda had the
page.
annexation.
on, we need to consider the annexation, my mistake, of one tax lot totaling 1.86 acres into the Tualatin Hills Park and Rec District, item number 25-008 LRP/BC. It's not an ordinance, so what is your motion? Oh, I thought you were calling it for motion. No. So, staff report, please.
Good morning, Chair Harrington and Commissioners. Teresa Cherniak, Community Planning Section Manager with the Land Use and Transportation Department. Tricia Garisco will give the presentation.
Thank you, Teresa. Good morning, Chair Harrington and Commissioners. Tricia Garisco, Associate Planner with the Land Use and Transportation Community Planning Section. The item before you is proposed boundary change 25-008, a request to annex one tax lot into the Tualatin Hills Park and Recreation District, or THPRD. The subject property is located at 5375 Northwest 137th Avenue in unincorporated Washington County, inside the urban growth boundary. The property is 1.86 acres and is shown here south of Northwest Roanoke Lane, west of Northwest 137th Avenue, and north of Northwest Laidlaw Road. The solid blue areas show the current extent of THPRD and the vicinity. This is a request by the property owners to annex this tax lot into THPRD to serve a future development. The annexation request was initiated by a consent petition from the property owners, and county staff has reviewed the request and found that it meets the criteria for boundary changes as outlined in the staff report. Staff recommends the board conduct the public hearing and at the conclusion of the hearing, adopt the resolution and order approving the annexation into THPRD, with the annexation becoming effective today, January 6th. If there is any public testimony today, there is a brief statement that I would need to read into the record.
Thank you for the staff report. Commissioners, are there any questions on this item? Seeing none, I'd like to open a public hearing. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone who wishes to testify?
Thank you, Chair Harrington. I did not see anyone sign up in advance for this public hearing. Is there any member of the audience that wishes to provide comment on this public hearing? As you've heard from staff, not seeing anyone raising their hands, coming forward. Is there anyone online via Zoom that wishes to provide public comment for up to 2 minutes? Give you just a moment to utilize raise hand function. Not seeing any hands, Chair Harrington.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. And with that, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion to adopt the resolution and order approving this annexation, with the approval becoming effective January 6th, 2026, and to authorize the chair to sign the R&O, the resolution and order, for Service District Annexation 25-008 LRP/BC.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, Commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. And now we'll move on to ordinance number 908. We already had a motion to read by title only, but nonetheless, we'll just do it in sequence. Do we have a motion to read ordinance number 908 by A, engrossed ordinance 908 by title only?
So moved.
All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. General Counsel Alex Barnett, could you please read that by title only?
A, engrossed ordinance number 908, an ordinance amending the comprehensive framework plan for the urban area relating to the adoption of boundaries for the Raleigh Hills Town Center, Sunset Town Center, and Washington Square Regional Center.
Phew. These are long titles. So now we're going to move on to a brief staff report. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Harrington and Commissioners. Teresa Cherniak, again, Community Planning Section Manager. I will also be here for the next two ordinances as they're in my section, but Suzanne Savin will give the presentation.
Thank you, Chair Harrington and Commissioners. Suzanne Savin, Senior Planner with Community Planning. And this is the second hearing for this engrossed ordinance. And as sort of a recap, this ordinance proposes to amend the comprehensive framework plan for the urban area to adopt boundaries for the Raleigh Hills Town Center, Sunset Town Center, and Washington Square Regional Center. And this will be to comply with state and metro requirements. Metro staff had identified the need for additional changes, and the Planning Commission recommended adoption with the staff proposed changes. The board then authorized engrossment of this ordinance on November 18th of 2025, and the first public hearing on the engrossed ordinance was held on December 9th of 2025, and there have been no comments received on the engrossed ordinance. And so staff's recommending that the board conduct the public hearing, adopt a engrossed ordinance number 908, and by separate action, adopt the associated findings. And that concludes staff's report.
Thank you. We've had prior presentations, and there's extensive material on the changes in the packet. But just in case, are there any board questions? Seeing none, I would like to open a public hearing. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone who wishes to share their comments with us today?
I did not see anyone sign up in advance for this public hearing. Is there any member of the public who wishes to speak on this public hearing as you've heard from staff? Not seeing anyone raise their hands or come forward. Is there any member via Zoom that wishes to provide public comment for up to 2 minutes? Give you just a moment to utilize raise hand function. Not seeing any hands. Chair Harrington.
Thank you. And with that, I'll close today's public hearing and ask for a motion to adopt a engrossed ordinance 908, as well as adopt the associated findings as listed as item G3 on today's menu.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Clerk Moss, could you take the roll call, please?
Certainly, Chair Harrington. Commissioner Fye?
Aye.
Commissioner Willie?
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
Vice Chair Treese?
Yes.
Chair Harrington.
Yes. Ordinance, A engrossed ordinance 908 passes unanimously, as well as the findings 5-0. Next, we're going to move on to ordinance number 909. Do we have a motion to read this ordinance by title only?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you. Colleagues, any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. Mr. Barnett, could you read this by title only, please?
Ordinance number 909, an ordinance amending the Washington County Cornelius Urban Planning Area Agreement, an element of the Washington County Comprehensive Plan.
Thank you. Staff report.
Good morning, Chair Harrington and Commissioners. I'm Michelle Miller, Senior Planner with Land Use and Transportation. Today I'm sharing with you the presentation for Ordinance Number 909, the County Cornelius Urban Planning Area Agreement. So today's presentation will briefly go over Urban Planning Area Agreements, or UPAAs. Then we're going to go over the updates proposed to the Cornelius Urban Planning Area Agreement and discuss the minor changes we are proposing with the UPAA map. Finally, I'll follow up with the Planning Commission recommendation and also the staff recommendation. Urban planning area agreements are agreements that the county has with each city that identify specific unincorporated areas where the city has an interest in planning, identified as an urban planning area, the unincorporated area inside the urban growth boundary, and an urban reserve planning area, the lands outside the UGB that may be added to the urban growth boundary in the future. The policies for coordination are outlined in the UPAAs, and the areas of interest are shown on the UPAA maps attached to the agreements. These agreements guide us on how we coordinate our development and comprehensive planning within a city's planning area in compliance with state law and also planning goals. Additionally, statewide Planning Goal 2, Land Use Planning, requires governmental plans related to land use must be consistent with adopted county and city comprehensive plans and also regional plans. To this end, in 1983, Washington County began the process of developing individual UPAAs with cities in the UGB, and adopted UPAAs are included as an element of our comprehensive plan. Over time, amendments are needed to the various UPAAs to expand or modify a city's planning area boundary and to provide updates to the policies regarding coordination. Updates may also be needed to reflect changes in state law or regional policies. So, most UPAAs were adopted in 1983 with updates occurring as needed. Since 2017, many UPAAs were updated to modernize notice provisions and to improve coordination between the county and our city partners for comprehensive planning. Changes were needed to include a new section for concept planning in our urban reserve areas, and we've also added those urban reserve areas to the UPAA maps that then the cities would be planning in the future. So, since the original UPAAs with cities, several regional planning related events have created the need to revise most UPAAs. Recent UPAAs were updated with language that acknowledged the 2009 Urbanization Forum, which brought consensus among the cities and the county that all future UGB expansion areas would be governed and urbanized by the city rather than unincorporated Washington County. Another important reason for the need to revise most UPAAs is the advent of the urban and rural reserve lands. The Oregon legislature validated Washington County's urban reserves in 2014. The UPAAs identify the urban reserve lands that would be available for future UGB expansion requests by a particular city. And this map shows the remaining urban reserve areas identified in bright blue, and the rural reserves are identified in green, with the regional UGB outlined in gold. Today's hearing is for the UPAAs with Cornelius and then later Forest Grove. And here's the map showing the location of Cornelius circled for your reference just west of Hillsborough. The Cornelius updates focus on compliance with Metro's requirements for planning new urban areas, describe the coordination measures for development and comprehensive planning, as well as adding new UGB areas and showing the annexations on the UPAA maps, which is Exhibit A to the UPAA itself. So the 1988 Cornelius UPAA is one of our oldest UPAAs in effect without an update. This slide shows the 1988 urban planning area map for your reference. Highlights of some of the key provisions in Ordinance 909 with the Urban Planning Area Agreement are new language related to transportation planning coordination. Also, we've added a timeline and a process to follow when changes to the UPAA itself are proposed. And finally, the UPAA map reflects the changes to the planning area since 1988. Here's a map with the urban growth boundary expansion of the surrounding Cornelius area since 1988. The darker yellow areas on the map show these expansion areas, including some areas that ultimately have been annexed to the city, and the lighter yellow area shows the older city and urban planning area boundary. This is the original Exhibit A that was filed with the Urban Planning Area Agreement with Ordinance 909. You can see that some of the lands added to the UGB since 1988 from the last slide have already been annexed to the city and are shaded in light gray. The dark gray areas are Cornelius's urban planning area. The 3 red circled areas are where the changes are needed and what is proposed for engrossment. This attachment A to the staff report for ordinance number 909. The red circles highlight the corrections that are proposed for engrossment that was filed with the original ordinance number 909. Starting at the top left circle, the areas proposed to be added to the Cornelius UPAA. The circle on the right changed the urban planning area to show lands within a city boundary, and the bottom circle removes urban planning area that shouldn't have been included in the original map. The Planning Commission considered ordinance number 909 at a hearing on November 19, 2025. They asked some clarifying questions about community engagement process for adding to the city's urban planning area and the extent of the changes to the UPAA itself. The Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend to the board that they adopt the ordinance 909 with engrossment recommended by staff. Staff is recommending that this board conduct a public hearing and at its conclusion, order engrossment of ordinance number 909 as described in the staff report, as shown in attachment A, and also to continue the hearing to a date certain of February 3rd and February 24th, and also direct staff to mail notice consistent with County Charter Chapter 10.
Thank you, Michelle, for a comprehensive yet high-level summary of what all of this is. Much of this seems very logical and natural to this board because we've been through this process with many of the larger cities, but it is high time for us to make sure we're completing the whole list. So thank you for all of your due diligence. So I don't believe there are any commissioner questions. So at this juncture, I would like to open the public hearing and see if there are any comments on this proposal.
Thank you, Chair Harrington. I did not see anyone sign up in advance of the meeting for this public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to provide comment for up to 2 minutes on this public hearing as you've heard by staff? Not seeing anyone raise their hands or coming forward. Is there any member on Zoom that wishes to provide public comment on this public hearing for up to 2 minutes? I'll give you just a moment to utilize raise hand function. Not seeing any hands. Chair Harrington.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. And with that, I'll close today's public hearing and ask for a motion to order the engrossment of this ordinance to include the changes recommended by staff as described in the staff report, and to continue the hearing to February 3rd, 2026 and February 24th, 2026, and direct staff to prepare and mail notice of the amendments consistent with the requirements of Chapter 10 of the County Charter.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All those, wait a second, no. Clerk Moss, could you take the roll call, please?
Certainly, Chair Harrington. Commissioner Fye?
Aye.
Commissioner Willie?
Yes.
Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
Vice Chair Treese?
Yes.
Chair Harrington.
Yes. Thank you. That passes, and we'll come back to it in the next month. Thank you. Next, we're going to move on to something very similar, but a different city this time, Forest Grove. Do we have a motion to read ordinance number 910 by title only?
Second.
All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously, 5-0. Mr. Barnett, could you please read that ordinance by title only?
Ordinance number 910, an ordinance amending the Washington County Forest Grove Urban Planning Area Agreement, an element of the Washington County Comprehensive Plan.
Thank you. Staff report, please.
Good morning. For the record, Michelle Miller, Senior Planner with Land Use and Transportation, here on presenting ordinance number 910, amendments to the Washington County Forest Grove UPAA. So, since this is the second UPAA hearing today, the general overview will be very brief. Then I'll talk about the changes to the Forest Grove UPAA itself and the UPAA map. Then I'll review the Planning Commission and staff recommendations. So urban planning area agreements are agreements that the county has with each city in the county that identify a specific urban planning area and the urban reserve planning area. We've adopted UPAAs as included in our elements of our comprehensive plan, and over time, amendments have been made to the various UPAAs to expand a city's planning area, add a city boundary, or update policies as needed. So Forest Grove is shown here in the salmon color and circled in blue on this particular map of Washington County. It's on the western edge. As discussed in the earlier presentation, UPAAs have some key provisions that are universal to all urban planning area agreements, including the Forest Grove UPAA. We've removed some outdated notice provisions as well as any that no longer apply since the last update. And overall, we've modernized and simplified some terms to make agreements consistent with our Cornelius UPAA. Finally, the map is changed to remove a small portion of Forest Grove urban planning area that will move to Cornelius, and that I will speak to in a bit more detail, and our maps are also updated to include some recent annexations. So in 2018, the Forest Grove UPAA was updated from that 1988 version, and the 2018 UPAA update included the changes to identify the urban reserves as well as the policies that went along with those changes. And here's the proposed 2025 updated UPAA map for Forest Grove. It shows the portion of the removed tax lot from Forest Grove's urban planning area. Here's the map of Forest Grove and their urban planning area in dark red. The map shows the eastern boundary of Forest Grove that is adjacent to Cornelius's city boundary. The 2018 map included lands within Forest Grove's urban planning area that extended north of Forest Grove to the Council Creek area. During the 2018 update, it was anticipated that unincorporated areas east of Forest Grove would ultimately be included in Cornelius's urban planning area by extending that long established straight north-south line between the two cities. The circled area on the map shows the area I'm going to be talking about in more detail on the next slide. So this slide shows the detail of the area proposed to be transferred from Forest Grove's planning area to Cornelius's planning area. The outline is of a 16-acre parcel, and we show the 2.7 acres that are proposed to be added to Cornelius's urban planning area and removed from Forest Grove's area. And Forest Grove has agreed to this transition, and thinking it best served to be under one jurisdiction with one tax lot. So the Planning Commission considered ordinance number 910 at its hearing on November 19th, 2025. They asked clarifying questions about the process of removing the portion of the Forest Grove's urban planning area and adding it to Cornelius's, and the extent of the changes in the UPAA itself. And the Planning Commission voted unanimously to recommend the board adopt ordinance number 910 as recommended by staff. So we're asking that you conduct the public hearing today and adopt ordinance number 910 as filed, and then by a separate action, adopt the associated findings.
Thank you. Are there any board questions? Okay, seeing none, I'd like to open the public hearing. Clerk Moss.
Thank you, Chair Harrington. I did not see anyone sign up in advance for this public hearing. Is there any member of the audience that wishes to provide public comment on this public hearing as you've heard from staff? Not seeing anyone raise their hands or come forward. Is there any member on Zoom that wishes to provide public comment for up to 2 minutes? Give you just a moment to utilize raise hand function. Not seeing any hands. Chair Harrington.
Thank you. And with that, I'll close today's public hearing and ask for a motion to adopt ordinance number 910 as read and presented, as well as a motion to adopt the associated findings as referred to in item G4 on today's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Clerk Moss, roll call, please.
Certainly, Chair Harrington. Commissioner Snyder?
Yes.
Commissioner Fye?
Aye.
Commissioner Willie?
Yes.
Vice Chair Treese?
Yes.
Chair Harrington.
Yes. Ordinance passes unanimously 5-0. Thank you. And now we're going to turn our attention to an entirely different matter. And so I don't see staff coming up to present this topic. So I'm going to assume Ms. Angie is presenting item 7. To approve the resolution and order directing modification of the Community Participation Program and transitioning Committee for Community Involvement Functions to the Planning Commission.
Yes, I can present this item.
She's in the hallway. She's held up by a constituent.
Okay, I will just go ahead just to respect the board's time and walk through the staff presentation. Next slide, please. Or I will run down. Thank you. I appreciate the team's support. So the overview today, I will briefly talk about the project timeline and also staff recommendations. I will remind your board we had an extensive board work session topic on this on December 2nd of 2025. I will also just note that the board has been in discussions of CPO, CCI modernization for quite some time. And just this morning, I took the opportunity to just kind of go through some searches of board meetings just so I could refresh myself, because it feels like almost since I started in 2020, your board has been having these conversations. So the dates that I could find in our agenda portal include December 14th, 2021, May 9th, 2023, August 27th, 2024, March 11th, 2025, and most recently, December 2nd, 2025. I will note that when the Office of Access and Opportunity, formerly known as the Office of Equity and Community Engagement, they had also provided updates through their quarterly report, and there's been various written correspondence that's been shared with your board. So we have been on this journey for quite some time, and there has
4 years.
Yes, and there has been significant input along the way. Next slide, please. So based on your board discussion at your December 2nd work session, the revised staff recommendation includes, and this is information that's also in the packet, the reality of the state of the county is that we need to continue to look at what we're required to do versus what is discretionary. And that's, I don't like saying those words out loud because I know your board, the community, and also staff would like to be providing a higher level of service. The reality is that we have to work within our budget construct and our available financial resources. We also need to continuously examine the changing and also historic landscape of legal, regulatory, and compliance factors, and that extends from Goal 1, planning requirements, to also open meeting laws. So there's a broad range of those factors and requirements. And then also operational feasibility and sustainability over this time. And I'll just say from my perspective, I have heard from community frustration, wanting a higher level of service. Volunteers have put significant time within CCI and CPO, and so can the county do more? County staff saying we're stretched. And so there's been this tension, and I'll say it has been a tension since since I arrived to the county. Also, various public perception. Public perception feeling a very strong connection to CPOs, their neighborhood, where they are, being able to provide that direct input, and then ranging on the other side of public perception that the current structure does not feel inclusive to individuals. So I want to say, when I'm making these statements, there's a broad range of components in this. And then looking at just performance, participation, and outcomes within the presentations that I had listed previously, we have provided to the board like YouTube views, attendance at meetings, et cetera. And then we've also heard from community saying, but that doesn't really reflect the true participation within CPO. So there's been tension through those conversations as well. And also, as your board is aware, this year with the changing federal requirements and landscape, we have evolved our Office of Equity and Inclusion to firmly align with civil rights law, ADA law, and is in the next iteration of access and opportunity. Next slide. So the option your board had discussed at your December 2nd work session is to retain the CPO program. However, it would be reorganized in a different configuration. That would be one CPO group per commissioner district. So that would be 4 CPOs. It should be noted that the chair is the chair at large, so it would be the district commissioner and the chair in attendance at each of these CPO meetings. Really looking at an expanded focus on county-wide services. Your board, under your board's leadership, your board has been really focused on ensuring that we are engaging the community. And so making sure that we are engaging the community with the full county-wide suite and strategically looking at expansion of how we use new CPO reorganized model to do so. Centralized county-led agenda setting and structured with community input. I really spoke to that in the last bullet point. And scheduling meetings forward out so they are predictable, both from a community engagement standpoint, so the community knows when to engage, also so that we can make sure that we are utilizing the new structure when we're planning key county projects or initiatives. And then we have open meeting laws. Your board, as your board is well aware, because you as a group can really only, you can only meet to discuss and make decisions in open meeting laws. Our boards and commissions and structures within the county are also subject to open meeting laws. And so that means the notes, public summaries would be produced by staff by reducing the number of CPOs to 4. It is sustainable for staff to be maintaining notes of 4 CPOs versus the number of CPOs we have today. And we would continue to allow and manage hybrid and virtual access, so not just in person, but also having maximizing technology that we've grown accustomed to. So that's CPO. Then I'll transition to CCI. So CCI Goal 1 responsibilities would transition to the Planning Commission, and this places that responsibility within that subject matter expertise. When I say that, I don't want to discount the expertise of our community members that they have provided through the years of CCI. I am just talking about structure. Also, we would continue, and as we need to, align with state requirements, and this is a very similar structure to other jurisdictions throughout the state. Next slide. So this is the timeline that you had reviewed in your board work session on December 2nd. So how this would transition, because the previous slide talked about the what, so I'll talk high level about the how. January through March of 2026, CPOs would continue to meet in their monthly meetings. CCI would have their monthly meetings. And internally, our Land Use and Transportation Department, as well as the Office of Access and Opportunity, would start transition planning. So from a community perspective, the community wouldn't see a change during that period of time. Then in April of 2026, we would convene all CPOs after that internal planning process for a joint meeting. We would then pause after that joint meeting, May through August, CPO meetings. And CCI would have their monthly meetings still. LUT and OEO, so this would be internal. They're still working on that transitioning process. And then September of 2026, this new CPO, fully modernized program would be launched. So that would be transitioning to the 4 CPO organized by district, and CCI would be transitioned into the Planning Commission. Next slide. So one of the options that we did not present to your board, however, we just wanted to put words on the screen because this is an item that your board had brought up as far as, I'll call it a curiosity of just sunsetting the CPO program for a further time period. So we would still need, and we're required to meet goal 1. So for CPO, it would be a moratorium and reevaluation for a 2-year period or a period that your board would determine. We would continue to monitor community needs, participation trends over this time, and continue to work with your board on what a new CPO program would be. Some of this conversation had came up just questioning, is it really sustainable with our current financial state to adopt a CPO program that right now, as your board is aware, we have a fiscally unsustainable budget. At the same time, your board discussion was also, we're also committed to community engagement simultaneously. So how do we do both? We cannot put a moratorium on goal 1, so we would still need to move forward with the transitioning of CCI into the Planning Commission per the timeline on the previous slide. So this is not reflected in the resolution order, but just wanted to just reflect the conversation that you had at the work session. Next slide. And that concludes the update. The RNO is in the packet. I, as well as staff, are here to provide any input or to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Ms. Angie. Really appreciate it. And at this juncture, the board had committed to having a public hearing on this. So I suggest that we go through that, and then subsequent to that, we'll have board questions as well as discussion. So at this juncture, I'd like to open a public hearing on this proposed resolution and order. Clerk Moss, do we have anyone who has signed up to testify?
We do. The first 2 we have is Bruce Bartlett and Dale Feek.
Good morning, Commissioners and Chair. Bruce Bartlett. I am extremely grateful that we have gotten to this point since the transition plan was approved in 2016 to modify the CPO, modernize the CPO program. We've gone through a lot. For the last 4 years, I've chaired the CCI with the intention of keeping it alive so we could modernize it. In reading through the RNO, I find that there's a serious typo in the document calling out Ordinance 8198 instead of Ordinance 8108, which means that you have to open the document again to modify it. I would suggest that in addition to repealing 8658 and only Section 2 of 8108, that you repeal the entire body of 8108 because Sections 3 and 4 reference the current CCI and CPO system. In the early 2010s, I was chair of the ESPD Advisory Committee and witnessed the mishmash that the ESPD Advisory Committee bylaws were in, so I undertook rewriting them and updating them. If you don't repeal 8108, you will create the same kind of mishmash that existed. I was compelled to do it for the sheriff's office because of the high-quality sheriff's office deserves a high-quality advisory committee set of bylaws. If you just keep referring to 8108, you will have the same kind of mishmash. So I request that the board direct staff to modify the R&O to correct the typo and to call for the entire repeal of 8108 and a completely fresh, new, clean version of the resolution and order. Thank you very much.
Just for a point of clarification, on page 4 of the ordinance, the 4th line, resolved and ordered that section 2 of R&O 80-108 is what you were speaking to. You were suggesting to strike the word section 2.
Yes, and to repeal the entire resolution and order.
Yep,
and start fresh.
Thank you. We'll have to address that with our legal counsel afterwards. Thank you. Mr. Feek, you're next.
Chair Harrington, I'm confused because I didn't think I signed up to make public comment, but I'm here because I was called to be here. So I highly respect Bruce Bartlett, who just spoke. He's been involved in this for many, many years. So I hope he will take what he said very seriously. Now, I think this is having to do with just CPO. Is this all having to do with?
The CCI and the CPO.
CP.
So, unfortunately, the presentation did not include a very useful graphic that we've used through the quarterly presentations many times. There are many aspects of community engagement. Right. The CCI and the CPO program have helped the county achieve its goals around community engagement as part of that whole set, but in addition, requirements for Goal 1, citizen participation and land use requirements. So this proposal ensures that the CCI, the Planning Commission becomes the central place for all of those responsibilities and makes proposals for how to evolve the community participation organization as part of our overall community engagement system. Does that help address your question?
It does, because it lets me know that I want to say something else, but not about this topic. I am for totally public participation. That's the reason I'm here and been here since a long time. So it's very important to have citizen participation, and I respect the people that have spent the time and effort to do so. But I'll have public comment about another topic. Thank you.
Clerk Moss, anyone else?
Next two we have is Isla Hoffler and Mary Manso.
Good morning, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for giving us opportunity to speak on this subject today. I just want for the record to make it very clear that I'm opposed to this transitioning and restructuring on so many levels. You are eliminating the grassroots origination of this program, where the people of a community in a small geographic area choose their representatives. They join and they become a member and they participate in the livability and overseeing what the county is doing with land use. And so what I see here is, after how many years we've waited for this, and we've been put off and put off. We've never had our joint meetings. We've never had a round table, all these things that were promised to us. And now you're taking the whole program away, basically. You're dissolving local level choice. You're transitioning to complete appointed positions. You're taking complete control away by having a commissioner and the chair at every CPO meeting, monitoring what we do as private individuals. We follow public meeting laws. We do all the things you ask. We check in, we give you our agenda, all the things that we do, and it's enough. But now you want to police it even more to control the narrative. And now you're changing the Planning Commission, which is also appointed positions. So you're basically going to appoint everybody that you want to say your narrative all the time. There's not going to be any free voice here. So you might as well just say what it is. And these excuses of finance and all these other things, it's just a rationale to change. You're spending how many, 3 positions full-time, over $100,000 salary each? Is that what I saw on the last slides? What do we need that for? You're not spending all that money on the CPO program. You're transitioning into a social justice, with a new name to get your grant money and do your pet projects. You're not addressing anything that has to do with land use and local geographic issues and needs. It's always been, when I came back to this program from years not being in it, the first thing I noticed is you've got a conflict of interest here. Then you're destroying the private sector from speaking any more about county operations and land use practice.
Thank you, Ms. Hoffler.
Clerk Moss, Mary Manso, thank you. Go right ahead.
I'm Mary Manso, and I'm actually looking forward after 10 years of transition to actually moving forward and seeing change happen. I have 2 requests, though. To this point, community members have really been left out of the conversation about what sort of change we'd like to see. I would really like to see best practices in community engagement, including the public, as we move through this transition period. It's really been something that's been missing. And, for an organization that is formed by the county to include community engagement, I've been really disappointed. But the other request I have is the terminology and the use of the CPO name. It will be incredibly confusing to the public if this new organization that's formed is called CPO. We would end up with CPO 1 through 4. Right now, we have a CPO 1 that would then be transitioning to CPO 2. Absolutely, you guys need to figure out a different name for this new organization to allow the public to understand that it's a new way of looking at things. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Manso.
All right, the last in the audience we have, Madam Chair, is Bob Terry. Mr. Terry.
Good morning, Chair, Commissioners. My name is Bob Terry, former County Commissioner, been a member of this county for well over 35 years. Appreciate the opportunity to meet or to speak to you again. I am very much concerned about CPO. I was very active in CPO when I was a commissioner and before I was a commissioner. Since that time, I have not received any notice. I live in unincorporated Washington County and not heard a word about CPOs, only what I can pick up on my own or through other people who are involved in the CPOs who may speak to me. It sounds to me as though our county, beyond what it has committed itself to at the first election of all 4 of you, some of you, certainly the 3 of you, we have had less communication with the community on a public basis than you have in the past. CPO has drifted away. I see this morning land, and have seen for the last 7 or so years, land has been moved off the tax rolls into other areas. Saw some this morning. And why isn't that money recommissioned to communicating with the community, particularly through the CPOs? It'd be interesting to see how the new alignment works. I appreciate what the county administrator has said. It was a great presentation. She orators very well, as we all know, and hopefully it will work out as your plan. But I would hope that those of you who are looking forward to staying on this commission after the turn of the year, you would change your direction and talk and speak more to the public and allow them to speak more, as was committed to by the chair when she took this position. Since that time, we have had fewer community meetings and less opportunity to speak to the board other than coming to these meetings here on Tuesday mornings. That's unfortunate, and it's not the way this county had operated in the past. Thank you for your time and listening to my opinion, but I think it's an opinion of many, many more. Thank you. Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Terry. Clerk Moss, anyone else?
That concludes, I don't see anyone else raise their hand come forward in the room. Is any member on Zoom that wish to comment for up to 2 minutes on this public hearing? So we have just one hand raised, Jim Long. Mr. Long, can you hear us?
There, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, I've lived in Oregon for over 50 years, and I remember Tom McCall saying we need to protect this thing called Oregon. And surely you want to hear from the community on this major change to a 50-year-old program. There have been many cutbacks, there are conflicts of interest, and we ask for a second public hearing in the evening later this month for 3 reasons. One, to hear from the community. Also, the individual CPOs have not considered this resolution in order. It just got published 4 days ago. Haven't really seen much of it. Haven't, been meeting regularly. Our CPO would have met on Christmas Eve, so we canceled it. There should be time for the CPOs and the CCI to consider this resolution in order and provide comments to you. So it wasn't enough time for us to consider all the language. There's not been much media coverage of these big changes. Only one article have I seen in one paper, a small paper as it was from Cedar Mill. The mission of the CPO program is to encourage and empower citizen involvement. Your resolution in order omits a number of details. I do not believe the resolution in order will increase citizen engagement in Washington County, and that is our mission. This transitioning of all state mandated requirements of the committee to the Planning Commission. This would substantially change the parameters of the Planning Commission. For example, there's been over a half dozen times when the Planning Commission meetings were canceled this year. I'm not sure the exact number, but you should find that out. Oversight is a big example. The state of Oregon issued an enforcement order because clear and objective standards were not being used in making decisions regarding planning decisions, land use decisions. This was not brought forth by the Planning Commission, but this was brought forth by a CPO whose members were so concerned that they filed an appeal. So it's important that the CPOs remain independent and don't strip the autonomy from them. The Land Use and S&R Committee of the CCI has worked up an evaluation which we hope to complete within the next 6 months. So that by the end of this process, you'll have more information on this. I remember back in 2015.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Your time is up. Thank you, Mr. Long. Thank you, Mr. Long. Clerk Moss, who do we have next?
I do not see any additional hands raised at this time, so that concludes this public hearing.
Thank you. I'd like to now suggest that we enter into board questions and discussion on this. I want to remind folks that the board had an extensive presentation and discussion of this topic at our December 2nd work session on this specific evolution and the whys and what fors for transitioning the Goal 1 needs as required by the state, the land use needs, over to the Planning Commission, as well as information about the history of the CCI and CPO programs. I would like to kick off the board discussion, and then I'll pick back up last. But either Mr. Barnett or your team member, Courtney Duke-Dries, and I have a very detailed question on an item that was brought up by Mr. Bartlett, because I'm looking back at the December 2nd material, and I'm not seeing that Resolution and Order 80-108 was included in the materials that we were provided. There were only two R&Os that were covered at that meeting, the 80-198 and the 86-58. So we need your expertise to speak to if the resolution and order goes beyond repealing Section 2A, as noted in the R&O. What does that mean?
Thank you, Chair Harrington. For the record, Courtney Duke-Dreesen, Deputy County Counsel. R&O, the reference to R&O 8198 is a Scrivener's error, unfortunately. Apologize for that. In the resolution and order prepared for you today, it is incorrect in the recitals, but in the ordered section, it is correctly cited.
Okay, so let me walk through this then. On page 1 of the R&O, you're saying that it should not be 80-198, it should be 80-108.
Correct, Chair.
Okay, so on page 1, on line item 1314, that would change. Similarly, on page number 2, line item 6, that would be corrected as well. Then on page, being very careful here, so on page 4, line item 4, it correctly reads Section 2A of R&O 80-108, but the question is that the only section that needs to be repealed, or does the entire 80-108 need to be repealed?
The section, sorry, I just shut it.
Chair, I'll pop in here. So for today, Section 2A needs to be repealed. The R&O does direct staff to continue reviewing county documents and come back to your board if there are any further adjustments that need to be made. So I would recommend that you move forward with today's R&O. We can certainly speak with Mr. Bartlett about his comments during the public hearing and come back to your board if there's additional adjustments that need to be made.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, now that we've cleared that up, I'd like to open the table up to commissioner comments. I appreciate, first I want to start with appreciation for the work that's gone into this. We have been working on this transition diligently for over 4 years, as we have also needed to attend to the scope of Washington County matters, and that will continue into the future. We did only have a conversation about the alternative option, so I appreciate seeing the words on the page, and I have similarly gone through the resolution and order and am prepared to speak to what sections would need to be modified or deleted to produce the R&O for that alternative measure. But I think we'll be having some discussion about the whys and what fors. But the reason I'm commenting now is to ensure that everyone now and into the future is clear that we have a wide range of techniques for community engagement. And the CCI, part of it, has one role that's now transitioning for effectiveness to the Planning Commission, and the CPO program that has gone through a lot of evolution and change, as rightfully documented in the, it appears, in the resolution and order. But those two are not, they are just a couple of aspects of our county-wide community engagement in service as the county government. So At this juncture, I'm opening the floor and will ensure that every commissioner has the opportunity to speak at least once. Oh, did I close the public hearing?
I close it, but I think you should make the
Okay.
official
I hereby close today's public hearing. My apologies for not doing that clearly earlier. Commissioner Snyder, go ahead.
Just to clarify, on the final discussion you were having with County Council, are you saying that we can modify the errors and the fact that it was posted that way does not pose a problem for us proceeding today?
That's correct, Commissioner. It's a Scrivener's error. You can do a pen and ink change and pass the resolution in order as written, making that pen and ink change after the meeting today.
Okay. I want to just clarify that I remain extremely committed to robust community engagement, and I think the way that we achieve that as a county does evolve over time and does not just include the CPOs and the CCI as they're currently structured. So I want to just state that at the outset. I also would like to get maybe a little bit of discussion or advice on the suggested name change to avoid confusion. I understand that that request and point, and it's probably good if we're really trying to reimagine and make something clear that perhaps the name be different. I don't know if that needs to be in today's RNO or if that can be proceeded in the future, but I guess if it needed to be acted on today, we should know that probably, so that we can try to work through that. Those are my comments at this time.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. Thank you for your presentations to staff. Courtney, you've been working on this for a while, so I enjoyed the journey to get to where we are, and Alicia, to your staff. This has been a long journey, and I'm really glad to see where we are. And, you know, I'm committed to this journey and the county modernizing. I hear what our county administrator and staff, leadership staff, and we're on this journey around the budget. That's not a secret. The county does have financial challenges, and this is part of that, to really modernize and reimagine how we do. What I'm really hoping, and we will get to it eventually, is really a strategic plan around community engagement. Washington County definitely needs a strategic plan on community engagement, especially if we're going to redesign and figure out how we do community participations. I am still, my words haven't changed from the work session we had in December. I really do think we're rushing this process. I really do think that we need to slow down and bring people along this journey. You've heard Bruce Bartlett and Mary Mantle are the most involved, two people that are very involved in CPOs. And you've heard both of them express excitement and trepidations. And I do think that if we slow down this journey and bring people along, I think it will benefit, and it's in the best interest of Washington County. So I would like to recommend to my colleagues that I think we need to slow down and maybe push the timeline. I know the timeline has not changed since the work sessions, but I do think that we need to slow down. The other thing that I would like to compel my colleagues to consider is a recommendation that came from Jim Long, which is this is a morning session. We do have an afternoon, evening session. I do think we need to postpone this action today and come back at an evening session when we can actually say we facilitated an opportunity, access and opportunity, just like the organization that's leading, the department that's leading this effort, the access and opportunity, which was formerly before called equity and inclusion, and then along this long line, there was a community engagement that was involved in that name that got dropped somewhere when we rebranded and called it access and opportunity. So I don't want us to miss the community engagement part. I do think the board needs to slow down this process and perhaps continue to have the monthly meetings as we had the January, I attend my CPO meetings, and I share with one of the constituents, former Commissioner Bob Terry, you've heard, I share that journey with you that I used to attend before I was an elected, and I continue to attend as an elected. Sometimes I go there to get information, learn more information about what's happening, because I'm not in constant contact with THPRD, I'm not in constant contact with our fire department, and I'm not in constant contact with the patrolling part of the policing. We all have a monthly meeting with our sheriff's office delegates, but we're getting different information when we're in these meetings. And I guarantee you, I'm not alone in appreciating some of the information as a resident of Washington County that I get. So I do think that today we're not in a place, especially the question being called around not facilitating access and opportunity to come and hear from our community in an evening meeting. So I'm not going to be supporting moving forward with this. I will not support. I will vote no. If we were to vote no, vote yes or no, it will be a no vote for me. But I don't want us to get to that. I think we need to hear our community, not be a tone deaf, and slow down this process and just say one more time, we will take this action. We have financial challenges that are pushing this effort. We need to modernize our CPOs. We've invested so much taxpayers' resources into this. This action is inevitable. Nobody doubts that. The two most involved community constituents are excited. I'm excited. You all are excited. You put in time and effort. But I think our board needs to consider today the action of not taking an action today, facilitating, removing some of the agenda items that are planned to schedule an evening meeting for this discussion for the exact same reasons and concerns that Jim Long expressed in his public hearing comment section. So that's my comment.
Thank you, Commissioner Fye. Who's next?
Thank you, Chair. Well, I think there's a couple of messages that I heard. I don't think anyone on this commission is intent to restrict or reduce community input by taking this action. I think we're formalizing it into a structure that has been tried and true in other counties, and it's certainly something that we have to take into consideration, realizing that we have budget constraints and we have a limited amount of money. So to your comment, Commissioner Fye, about having access to this information at your CPO meetings, you will still have that. Your district has an active CPO, and it's good that you attend those and you hear that information, and you will continue to do that. So there will be no change in that regards. We have an antiquated format, and it's time that we took opportunity to do this. As has been pointed out, we are in year 4 of this conversation. I see a head shaking in the audience. I don't know exactly what that means, but I think we've had plenty of conversation about where we're going with this, and I am ready to move on. Thank you.
Commissioner Treese.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, fellow commissioners, for your comments. As Commissioner for District 2, I've been fortunate from the standpoint of having active CPO engagement, both from the people that are here today, both Mary Manso and Bruce Bartlett, and Virginia Bruce, Nancy Hazlett. There's been a number of others, Tanya Machado. There's been a very core group that has moved forward. You, as a group, have provided me with incredible information around how to bring people together to speak openly about land use related issues. And I want to express my appreciation for the work that you've done. In recognition, as Commissioner Snyder mentioned today, in recognition to the, first of all, the proposal to look at the resolution, I support that, thank you. Secondly,
to the issue of renaming the CPOs, I am in support of that. I think that that creates that delineation that would be extremely helpful. The other piece that has not been mentioned to date yet is, as we look at this time frame from January to September of this year, including the public engagement in that third box that Ms. Manceau mentioned as well, I think is a critical component that I would like to see included. So from that standpoint, I really have been, I appreciate the input, I appreciate the perspective. I believe that we're in a situation where we do need to make this decision. And I will be supporting option 1. I will not be supporting the alternative option. So thank you again to those that have been working on this process. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for your representative nature. What brings you to us today is your commitment to the others in your community. And that's so important in the scheme of community engagement. So thank you for that.
Thank you, commissioners. I certainly have appreciated over my 36 years of residency here in Washington County the involvement of myself and my spouse in the CCI and CPO program over many years prior to my being an elected official, but also paying attention to what has been under discussion of CCI and CPO over the years. As I have said previously, I think the graphic that we had that speaks to the range of tools that we use for community engagement is very important. No problem with it being updated to our latest graphic standard. Go ahead, Ms. Angie.
Chair, if I may, I was going to add a few comments and when you were done. The last time I believe that graphic was presented was in March of 2025, if I'm doing my packet search quickly enough. So we can go ahead and include that. And let me just speak to what's on that graphic just so that the public is aware. And Commissioner Snyder, this gets to the points that you made that about our broad-ranging community engagement opportunities. So in addition to CPOs, as your board has heard today, there's continuous public testimony, constituent emails, which are compiled and responded to on behalf of your board. Your board does host town halls on certain subject matters. We have many boards and commissions that are advisory to your board. We celebrate cultural heritage months as we are a diverse community and also a learning organization. We have many informal work groups that are created around maybe a project or a subject or a community issue. Open houses are a common process. And then our departments, I just want to commend departments throughout the county because we have extensive community engagement and our staff are just connected and they're here to serve community. We do have our civic leaders program as well, and I won't take further time because this could go on, but we will include that graphic. If you don't mind, I would also like to note that, yes, we did change this year the office to the Office of Access and Opportunity. That doesn't mean engagement's gone away. And I just want to speak to our department naming is not holistic of the services that they provide. I'll give a couple examples. Health and Human Services. We have animal services within our Health and Human Services department. So one may not assume that is a service provided by that department. Or housing includes homelessness services. So I could elaborate on that, but just because a service or a program is not in our department name does not mean that it's not a valued service and or a commitment to the county. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Angie. I appreciate that. So with regard to that graphic, one of the things I've been very proud of with the evolution of our practices and the One Washington County approach is how our departments have gotten together to try to be present in community and leverage their programs together. So we've had comprehensive focus groups and comprehensive in-community presence. For example, in the good weather times, especially with the in-person farmers markets, as well as other forums that we've joined in partnership with not only cities, but also community-based organizations. So I am really proud of the work that we've done here over the years. I also want to note that in this RNO, I believe it has very clear actions that speak to addressing confusion that some folks have when they try to understand community engagement or participation. And I know that under the leadership of our county administrator, Ms. Sojourner, and your team, as well as through our legal counsel, we're going to continue to ensure that things are ever clearer. So I have no qualms there. You have my full confidence. I also have, over the course of my time on this board, have heard from city elected officials about the nature of the CPO program being very difficult for them at times. And I think this current proposal of redesigning district-based committees and having them focus on county services, that's really the important point that I haven't heard people really speak to. This is about gathering input for the work that the county government does, not for whatever it is that any community member wishes to talk about and develop political momentum behind. I also know that leadership action is needed without delay. We've been spending time and energy on this topic going back 4 years. We've had input through many vehicles over those 4 years. The time is now. So I really appreciate my colleagues who recognize that and that they are on point to the circumstances of the nature of community needs and our service as a county government. So I applaud those of you with that. I will say that I was very open to the alternative option, and so I'm going to bring voice to that. I think that there are far too many folks that think they should move forward with our, let me see what the launch of a modernized program. I don't need to use any acronym at this stage. I think we should make the change to the reference there so that we can start clean. We don't have to call it CPOs, as Ms. Manceau has noted as well. We need to have clarity here about what we're looking for. The resolution and order speaks to that, about focusing on county business, but to go through the design in the way that is manageable for us as a county government, as Commissioner Willie spoke to well about the evaluation that was done on the whole. So, but I also understand the point from my colleagues in looking at an alternative option. We could have changed this resolution and order such that we're fully immersed in the circumstances of the county, and we don't have bandwidth to continue on in this process beyond what's proposed here. And I would venture to say, just like 2025 rose in its difficulty, I know that 2026 is going to also be challenging. And that's one of the reasons why I was attracted to the alternative method, to really dissolve the current CPO program so it's clear on the timeline that is suggested here, but to leave it to the new Board of Commission from 2027 through 2030 for them to say, okay, what is on the plate? We know we have all these different community engagement mechanisms, and let's see how it feels to not have the CPO program, and then see how that feels, and then see if there's anything missing for them. Because, as many of us well know, we have many different tools, and we have an existing robust community engagement program, even without the CPOs. So, but I understand my colleagues' appetite for wanting to make this decision in a timely manner, given that we've been talking about it for 4 years. So I join them in supporting the option that is on the table. But I do want to make sure it's clear for today's resolution. We've already spoken to the Scribner's corrections that will be made, referring to RNO 80-108. So there's that one, and we also speak to RNO 86-58. So that's all smooth. The one thing I'm trying to make sure in doing this, I would like to suggest, if we look at page 3, on line 4, to modify, and it goes to line 5, it is in the best interest of the public to modify the CPO program and establish new engagement groups. I like that reference. What I want to make sure is that we, in line 9, that we're not foreclosed from changing the name of the groups from community participation organization. So I'm just confirming with myself, yes, on page 4, here's my question. There's line 6 and 7, that resolved in order. And you guys maybe have gone through all this, but I'm just trying to make sure I know what I'm voting on today. Take necessary actions to modify and implement the CPO program, incorporating. So, and then there are the specific actions.
Chair, I would appreciate the staff responding to sort of my comment and then your suggestions here about whether all of this, given that it sounds like there's significant desire to...
No, there aren't any significant changes. I'm just making sure that towards the topic on the naming, that the current lines don't force us to reuse that phrase.
That's what was going to come after my significant. There's significant...
If I could finish my comments first.
Sure.
So I have walked through all of pages, full page 4 and full page 5, and I've convinced myself that we are not stuck with the CPO nomenclature. So, so aside from that Scribner's correction, I'm very satisfied with, beyond satisfied, I'm very pleased with the result of the RNO, and I'm ready to take action. So based on that, unless there are current questions, what I'm looking for is a motion to approve the resolution in order to direct staff in modifying and updating the community engagement programs, including the CPO and CCI program.
So I have questions.
Beyond what, wait 1 second, beyond what you already went over in your first round of comments?
Well, I asked a question that still hasn't been answered. I'm uncomfortable with the language as it's written until the staff tells me that the naming issue is not an issue. And that's what I was trying to clarify a moment ago. I don't necessarily agree entirely with the interpretation that it's not an issue until the staff, and particularly our council, says it isn't. So I think we should have clarity to that.
County Council and I have conferred on this, Commissioner Snyder and board, and I would refer you and the public to page 4, starting on line 6. Resolved in order that the county administrator is directed to take necessary actions, and then there are bullet points. At no point through this RNO does it state the future name must be CPO. It does not state that the 4 new engagement models by district have to be named 1, 2, 3, and 4. So I appreciate Ms. Manceau's comments today, heard the board's comments, and we will take that under consideration as we work through implementation if your board moves forward.
I think Commissioner Snyder, what is discomforting is seeing in that resolved in order the acronym CPO, right?
Well, and the word implement.
So, but we could change, well, this is the RNO to implement a new committee structure, as the graphic shows. But I think what I would suggest that instead of line 7 saying CPO program, that we implement a committee program or a community program and leave it as that.
What? I have a question.
If I could see if Commissioner Snyder is open to that, because that leaves the naming totally to that development.
And I think it could just say implement the community engagement program or whatever.
Well, it's not the entire scope of community engagement.
A community, whatever you want to call it. I just think the word CPO should not be in there.
I agree with you on that. Yes. So
I want to make a motion to postpone this action item to fix the error, the scribble error, as the chair put, and then to come back clean. I have my computer here, and I'm tracking everything, and I'm having a hard time figuring out what words are being changed. So I would like to make a recommendation that we postpone this action, come back, present a clean version of the RNO that we can post and read it, and then come back and take an action. This is really messy, and we're making decisions as we're putting together this presentation, this RNO. I hear what the county council, everything that's being recommended. It's not being documented. This is not transparent, and it's not even accessible to me. And I'm sitting here, the words being changed. So I don't see where we're taking words out. I don't feel comfortable making this decision as a board member here today. I would like to make a motion to postpone this action, to have staff come back to us with a clean version of a document to review, and then to vote on. There's a lot being recommended here, a lot of word changes, and there's no track changes to this document being edited as we speak. So I would like to make that motion, and for my colleagues to please consider this. I know many of us are English speakers. Imagine if I'm having a hard time sitting here tracking every conversation, imagine what our community is struggling with. So I would like to postpone this, come back and have a clean document to review and then to vote on. My decision to not vote for this comes from the timing and being expedited and not having access to provide a second evening presentation. So this is completely different. This is a logical motion I'm making right now to postpone this action and to have a clean version to vote on and to track every word that we're voting and to feel comfortable that every word we're endorsing and we support and we did our due diligence. I don't feel like any of us have done our due diligence just sitting here today, and we're having a lengthy discussion.
So as presiding officer, I'm going to make the following clear summary. There were only 2 Scrivener's corrections. On page 1, line item 1314, change 80-198 to 80-108. On page 2, line 7, where it currently says RNO 80-198, correct that to say 80-108. The only other change that we've been discussing, though we've not had a motion yet, though we seem to have agreement, is, on page 4, line item 7, to strike the word CPO and instead implement the community program. That's it. Okay?
I recommend that we do not go along with that and we postpone this motion today.
So I understand that. As presiding officer, Commissioner Fye has made a motion to postpone this work and come back to an evening meeting. Is there a second?
I will second for sake of discussion.
Okay, so I'm going to go first based upon prior comments, and we have a notable number of actions that we still need to take on the agenda and a number of items on our agenda this afternoon.
I have one question.
Go for it.
Would we be able to bring this back in a cleaner fashion on the 27th for an evening meeting?
You have the information to ask and answer that question for yourself. We
I'm looking
only
at legal counsel, and that's who I want to answer.
Yes, but they don't deal with the timing of the meeting like I have to as presiding officer, which is why I'm raising the point. We do have some room in the formal agenda meeting. Of course, there's nothing that forestalls that. So it's an evening meeting at 6:30. We only have at this juncture 2 different public hearings and no action items and a very short consent agenda. So we look to be timing-wise in a good way. So, but I disagree with the fact that it's confusing. In my my 19 years of elected legislative experience, Scrivener's errors and making note of those so it's clear to everyone, as we have done here, is very straightforward. And so there's actually only 1 word change that we've made and have no need for any other word changes. I think a lot has been said here.
I'd still like to have some clarification on one item.
Oh, okay, go ahead. Legal, he wishes to hear from legal.
So if we would bring this back on the 27th, time allowing on that meeting, would we go through the same process that we went through today, a public hearing, and basically redo everything we've done today with a cleaner script? Is that what we would have to do on the 27th?
You're under no requirement to have an additional public hearing on the 27th, Commissioner.
So if we wanted to put this on the consent agenda on the 27th, we could do that?
Consent agenda with resolving the 2 Scrivener's errors and any other changes your board adopts today.
All right, thank you.
And it would take a action from 2 commissioners to move something off the consent agenda.
Correct.
Yeah. So I still propose, I can't remember now, given the extent of our conversation, so I'm going to do it again. and ask for a motion to approve the resolution and order to direct staff.
You have a
We have a motion. Oh, excuse me, you're right. The motion that to delay from Commissioners Fye and Willie. All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye.
I have a question before we vote, please. And that question is, does that motion also include moving it to the consent agenda?
That's not what Commissioner Fye recommended.
So I would like to amend the motion to include moving it to the consent agenda so that the resolution rests there.
I support that.
Is there a second to the amendment?
I would second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those approving of that amendment, please, or that motion, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Sorry, I opposed. I didn't get my hand.
Okay. So the motion carries 3-2. So we have paused further action on item F7, and we'll bring it back to the January 27th meeting. For those, I believe we already had a motion on the resolution and order as it stood, so we have to retract that procedurally, I believe.
Yes, and there were two amendments that I heard, Chair. I just want to stop quickly and ensure that we are clear and that the board clerk is clear on what passed.
On the, go ahead. I don't do the minutes.
Yeah, so, Madam Chair, so you had a motion to postpone until January 27th. That motion was amended to move the item to the consent on January 27th. So you have the main.
With those three changes.
With those three changes. So you have that main motion to postpone on the table. Now, you did not have a motion to adopt the resolution order as currently stated. So you have that motion on the table.
All she needs to do is withdraw her motion, and I withdraw my second.
No, he's speaking.
No, you.
Never had the first motion.
That's the question. Did we have the first motion?
You did not have a first motion.
So we don't have any hanging motions out there.
No.
Yeah. Okay, so on a motion of 3-2, this item will come back to us with those three specific, the two corrections and one word change, and it'll be on the consent agenda on our January 27th meeting. And just a reminder, the public comment period at the beginning of the meeting is limited to a total of 10 minutes. Okay, thank you. We finally will be moving to the action agenda, and we just have 5 more items to deal with. And so staff and board, you'll have to adjust your afternoon timing, so just a heads up there. So item G1 is to approve the resolution and order granting settlement authority to the Chief Executive Officer / General Manager. And we have a staff report. Please take it away.
Good morning, Board of Directors, or maybe this afternoon? No, not quite yet. My name is Brad Anderson. I'm Senior Assistant Legal Counsel at Clean Water Services, and with me is Lori Olson, our Risk Manager. The matter before you today is a long time coming. In my short tenure at Clean Water Services, when I have had discussions with our Risk Manager regarding settlement authority, I was shocked to learn that the settlement authority for the GM CEO has been at $15,000 for the last 33 years. The action before you today is to address that and to increase the settlement authority to $100,000. What I've discovered in my time here in discussing with Lori Olson is the amount of small property damage claims that Clean Water Services gets. You can imagine operating heavy equipment, doing a lot of digging with heavy equipment, sometimes leads to property damages claims. And So even though Clean Water Services has insurance, there's a large deductible associated with that, and so Lori spends a lot of time and her team settling claims before they become lawsuits, particularly with property damage. And so, as I said, the action we're asking for today is for the board to increase that settlement authority up to $100,000, which is the same as you see at Washington County. Are there any questions?
Board members, do you have any questions on this action item?
I have a question for you, Brad, and this is a question I asked you in our briefing yesterday. Was it yesterday or is it?
Yes.
And the question I asked you was to check if the county administrator amount is also equivalent to this amount. Were you able to check that and find out?
I did check that today, and it is the same. It's $100,000.
Thank you.
So, seeing no further questions, do we have a motion to approve the resolution and order granting settlement authority to the Chief Executive Officer / General Manager?
I move to approve the resolution.
Second.
All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, Commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0.
I raised my hand too. I don't think it was high enough for the board.
Did you catch that, Kevin? Thank you, Board.
So we're going to try and move along to the next action agenda. This is a proposal to set the compensation for our interim Chief Executive Officer, General Manager of Clean Water Services. We have been really fortunate to have Mr. Rick Shanley serve in this position since June 7th of 2025. And he will continue to serve in this interim capacity through our hiring and onboarding of a permanent general manager. And so this is a proposal to update his compensation in light of the additional responsibilities that he has taken on. That is the extent of the staff report. You have all the materials in the packet. No one asked any questions at our check-in and work session, so at this juncture, I would ask for a motion to adopt the attached resolution and order setting the compensation for Rick Shanley, Interim Chief Executive Officer and General Manager of Clean Water Services, retroactive to June 7th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, colleagues. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. Next, we'll move on to item G5. We've already taken G4 and G3. This is a motion to designate Commissioner Jerry Willey, our District 4 Commissioner, as Vice Chair for 2026. This follows our rules and procedure for rotation of the Vice Chair. I would ask for a motion to designate Commissioner Willey as Vice Chair for 2026.
As the current Vice Chair, so moved.
Is there a second?
As the previous Vice Chair before that, I second that. And I was going to do a drum roll for you.
All those in favor, please raise your hand or say aye. Thank you, Commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. And in the absence of the Vice Chair, it goes to the prior Vice Chair, so Commissioner Treese, if I'm not here and Commissioner Willey is only available on Zoom. Okay, next we have item 6. We had a work session with our county auditor on various charter changes that she would like to see proposed to the voters for improvement. And so to do so, we need to have a brief presentation and a public hearing. So our auditor is Johnny on the spot, here and ready, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So please take us through the proposal.
Awesome. For the record, my name is Christine Adams-Wanberg, and I'm the elected county auditor. My presentation is basically like one page. So we have 3 items that were brought up before your board in a work session in November 4th. The first is to eliminate the certified government auditing professional as a qualification to run for county auditor. The second is to adjust the residency requirements to run for county auditor from 6 months to 12 months. That was an adjustment that we had a discussion about in the work session where we talked about that in November. And then the third one is to basically require that the county auditor's performance audits be performed in accordance with government auditing standards. And I am open to any questions you might have.
I would like to add that Exhibit A is very straightforward in the specific proposed changes.
And that the slide is accurate, but the information in the summary that's posted is not. It says changing the geographic residency to run for county auditor from 6 months to 2 years.
Oh, Lord.
Yet it's
I am
actually
so sorry.
Yeah, so we need to make sure this.
Yes. The intent was from 6 months to 12 months. I am so sorry that was Scrivener's error.
But only on the topic sheet, which is not.
That's correct.
It's
Okay.
not legislation.
Right.
It's
Sorry
only
about
there
that.
for
I thought I caught
convenience
that,
of
so.
efficiency of understanding and running the meeting. So
It will be corrected for the next hearing.
it doesn't need to be.
Okay.
Do we have a motion to schedule the public hearing for Tuesday, January 20th, 2026 board meeting? Oh, now I understand your point. Yes, it'll be in the packet.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously. So that goes to show that the board is very supportive of this.
Wonderful. Thank you, board.
Next, we have item G7. Commissioner Willie, would you like to present this?
Yes, I would. I appreciate the staff's participation in this over our holiday couple weeks. No. Highway 6 is in serious disarray. Has been for quite some time. This Highway 6 is the #1 priority of the Northwest Transportation District, which is Western Washington County, Tillamook, Clatsop, and Columbia counties. This has been a considerable concern for us, and when the rain damage closed that highway for a short time and then was reopened again, subsequently closed again because they had more slides. They are in the process of trying to find a temporary alternative. It was important that we, as Washington County, join in with Tillamook County in declaring an emergency, which would enable us to apply for not only federal funds, but certainly enhanced priority, hopefully, with ODOT and finding some funding to put a more long-term fix to Highway 6. Hence, the purpose of this declaration of emergency.
Thank you, Commissioner Willie. We went through this at our work session check-in for the formal agenda and have addressed questions at that time, but as a final check, are there any additional questions or comments from board members? Seeing none, I would ask for a motion to declare a state of emergency regarding damage to Oregon Highway 6 due to severe winter weather, and that this declaration of emergency shall expire on April 6th of 2026.
So moved with appreciation to Commissioner Willie and the staff.
Yeah, thank you. Second.
All those in favor, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, Commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. Next, we will move on to our second public comment period of today, and I thank members of our community for your patience in waiting through our 2 hours of work for our long public hearing list and action items. So, Clerk Moss, could you call up the folks who have signed up to speak to us for up to 5 minutes an individual?
Yes, I can, Madam Chair. We have Mary Klokiopoulos and Jill Latre.
After so much long time, we're finally getting that right, huh? I'm still going with the Mary C.
That works too? I heard Mary.
Go ahead, Ms. Hokiopoulos.
Good morning, Chair Harrington and Commissioners, and Happy New Year. I'm Mary Halkiopoulos, a resident of Washington County. Per your recommendation, Chair Harrington, I am sharing my concerns about proposed DMV voter registration rules changes with the Oregon Motor Voter Rules Advisory Committee, which is meeting this morning. They're accepting testimony until January 13th. The concerns I will include are those I already shared with you in December, plus a couple I didn't have time to include in my previous testimony, but will now. After an so-called apparently qualified person is registered to vote at the DMV, that information is sent to the Secretary of State's Election Division. If the person isn't already registered, the Elections Division will mail an OMV notification card to the individual. The card includes affirmation of registration qualifications, penalties for registering when not qualified, alternative options to register to vote, and opportunity to select a party, among other things. Individuals have 21 days to return this completed card to the Secretary of State. Until then, their registration is considered pending. If the card's returned within 21 days affirming registration, the registration is processed per the standard procedure. If returned within 21 days declining registration, the person's status is changed from pending to not registered. Incomplete or ambiguous declinations are followed up on by the county for clarification. If at the end of 21 days the card is not returned and the person hasn't registered by any other means, like online, the person is automatically registered as non-affiliated. If a person returns their card on or after the 22nd day and declines registration, their automatic registration is canceled. Otherwise, individuals who may not be qualified to vote may be registered to vote simply by not returning the card. Further, the notification cards have been sent by non-forwardable mail in the past. The proposed new rules state, quote, "The notification shall be sent by forwardable mail with a postage-paid, pre-addressed returned envelope. Forwardable mail can easily end up lost in the ether or discarded. This further diminishes system security and opens the door to registration of unqualified individuals." As shared in prior testimony, the proposed DMV rules changes do not address the primary issue of non-citizens currently on the rolls, because people can renew licenses online without presenting documentation. They can still register directly online using self-attestation, and they can be registered through non-governmental organizations which don't require documentation. So it's clear that the centralized top-down voting process in our state is deeply flawed, and as illustrated by the proposed new rules changes, it's getting worse. The OMV committee is simply rearranging the deck chairs on the Titanic. Accuracy in voter registration is fundamental to the trustworthiness of any election. Every ballot cast by an unqualified voter violates the civil rights of a citizen. Washington County must take control of its own voter registration to protect the rights of its citizens, and we urge you to do the right thing and authorize this change in our county as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary C. Jill, you're up.
Happy New Year, Chair Harrington and Commissioners. My name is Jill Latray. I've been a resident of Washington County for over 30 years. Today, I'll continue to share more of my observation of the November 4th, 2025 election at the Washington County Election Office. As stated before, observers are in a room where they can view monitors, one with 4 different views from cameras mounted around the election office. The views rotate and don't return to the same view for 2 or 3 minutes. The video is poor quality. No sound is transmitted. Many areas are obscured due to the camera placement, and cameras are not in all areas where ballots are processed, such as the office area. Observers miss a lot of activity, and viewing all the processes is impossible. On election night, 2 IT personnel, each with a laptop they brought, were at the back of the computer room. They were sitting at the table that reportedly holds another Clear Ballot computer. Clear Ballot is the election system used by Washington County. These IT personnel were seen moving around cables near the Clear Ballot computer, first connecting and later disconnecting them to the laptop they brought in. Due to the rotating camera views, we did not see if both laptops were connected. Observers wondered, what task are they performing? What type of cables did they connect to their laptop? A power cable? A network cable? Did they connect to the Clear Ballot computer? Observers have no idea because we cannot see. IT personnel are always present on election nights and are seated in various areas of the computer room. I personally haven't seen any of them connect and disconnect cables to their laptops at any previous elections. While they were still in the computer room, I asked Election Manager Dan Forrester about the IT personnel. Mr. Forrester said they were there in case a situation arose where they were needed. He said they were probably just connecting the county computers to do some work as they waited. I often do not receive definitive answers about what task election office staff and other individuals inside the election office are performing. It's our goal for Washington County to have in-person voting in the precincts on Election Day with limited absentee voting, require voter identification, proof of citizenship and residency, hand count the ballots, and have same-day results. In the meantime, we asked Washington County follow the Oregon statutes and the procedures outlined in the Vote-by-Mail Procedure Manual. Much of my election observation testimonies directly reference the statutes and the procedures manual. They are listed at the end of my testimony. We have requests that could be implemented now and are in your purview. Allow only qualified individuals to vote, U.S. citizens, residents, ages 18 and up. Ensure quality ballot printing from the printing vendor. Remove the QR codes, the unique identifiers that are voter-specific from our ballots so that we may vote confidentially. Accurately report voter turnout on the website and in person. If signatures on the ballots don't match, require at least one election official to review all signatures on file and not just accept the non-matching signatures as has been witnessed by observers. Allow in-person observation of all ballot duplication. This includes ballots that cannot be read by the tabulation system, such as military and overseas ballots sent electronically, and the non-scannable ballots due to printing errors, etc. Finish counting all ballots before ending the election day count. Beginning election night, print election results from the Clear Ballot tabulation system in the board's room before one person, without any oversight, copies the results onto the flash drive, carries a flash drive throughout the election office, and uploads the results using a computer in the office area. Again, office area is not observed by any cameras. After election night, print election results from the Clear Ballot tabulation system in the board's room each morning and evening that ballots are tabulated. Again, ballots are received for 7 days with or without postmark through the mail. Allow in-person observation of all ballot processes. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for the clear testimony. Appreciate it. Clerk Moss, is there anyone else today?
I'm not seeing anyone else in, Mr. Bartlett? And then we'll check online and then we'll close, so up to you, sir.
Thank you very much. Bruce Bartlett. I wanted to provide some personal comments. The CPO system is the only entity in the county that is truly public-facing. All the boards and commissions face the staff. The CPOs deal with the unruly public. Either we have very few people coming out or we have a tsunami of people coming out. In the early 2000s, annexation to Beaverton was a big issue. So I invited then Mayor Rob Drake to come and talk about annexation. We had 250 people show up to the St. Vincent's Auditorium for that discussion. During the conversation, he thanked me for protecting his life during that conversation. We computed how much contribution the CPO leaders provide the county. You get 2 FTE equivalent contributions from CPO members who are facing this unruly public that keep land use and transportation or your board from having to deal with them. At one of our ballot, our election we had the election coverage, and we had white supremacists show up and actively disrupt the meeting, and we had to call the sheriff to send a deputy to escort the white supremacists out. 2 FTEs dealing with the rough and tumble outside world, and you know what it's like to deal with the public. There's always people who are disagreeable, and sometimes they get leadership roles in CPOs, and that's unfortunate. But as Commissioner Treese pointed out, the bulk of what you get from the CPO system is good, community-centered activity. I think that I was not concerned with the RNO because it, in a way, kicks the can down the road still further. I've felt that I've been in a Lucy and Charlie Brown cartoon where every time I go to kick the football about the CPO program, it gets changed. It was re-envisioned, it was then modernized, and each time I spent literally hundreds of hours collectively preparing to address the issues, and it just dissolved. I am committed to creating a system that provides community resilience. In all this, that is my motivation. Land use is a kind of in a way, a small part. Owing to the urban unincorporated area, which Washington County created through its development decisions, you now have 1/3 of your urban population living not in a city, which I know you're painfully aware of. The CPO program not only allowed for Goal 1 to be met, partially anyway, it also provided a neighborhood association equivalent to allow people to overcome the political and social isolation that results from living in the unincorporated urban area. Now, I think that the changes to allow countywide issues to be addressed through the new public engagement system has a lot to offer it. CPO 10 put together a presentation on the Center for Addiction Triage and Treatment, the CAT, and we had 4 representatives do a comprehensive presentation that we advertised to all of the CPOs. I think that is a great model going forward in the future. Come up with one really well-constructed presentation and present it to everybody. I really don't know if changing the boundaries of the public engagement system to the commissioner districts is going to garner attendance at those meetings. It depends on the subjects. The commissioners being present will help. But we need also a way of providing coherence to the people living in their individual communities. So I look forward to collaborating with the Office of Access and Opportunity in crafting the system over the next few months.
Thank you, Mr. Bartlett.
All right. Is there anyone via Zoom that wishes to provide public comment at this time? I'll give you just a moment to utilize raise hand function. Not seeing any more hands, Chair Harrington.
Thank you, Clerk Moss. Next, we'll move to board announcements. This upcoming Thursday, we're having a roundtable, both as the Board of Commissioners and the Board of Directors for Clean Water Services. That starts at 9 a.m. Next Tuesday is a full work session day starting at 9. On Tuesday, January 20th, we'll have a work session that starts at 9. We'll pause that, reconvene in our board meeting at 10, and then resume the work session from there, no later than 1 p.m. On Tuesday, January 27th, that will be our evening business meeting starting at 6:30 p.m. and a work session in the afternoon starting no later than 2. I do want to note that we have plans such that we will start having separate business meetings in our role as Board of Commissioners and Clean Water Services Board of Directors starting in February. And you can get more information about that and all those packets on cleanwaterservices.org/board. Very easy to find. In addition, if you have public input you'd like to share with the board, you can continue to email us at cwsboard@cleanwaterservices.org. Then, looking into the month of February, we'll have a Board of Commissioners work session starting at 9 a.m. and a board meeting. We'll pause that, go to board meeting at 10 a.m. And reconvene the work session after that. On Thursday, February 5th, 2026, we'll have a roundtable for the Board of Commissioners starting at 9 a.m. You'll need to look at the CWS information to see when the CWS meetings and dedicated work session days are. On Tuesday, February 10th, 2026, that'll be work session only day starting at 9. Don't forget, we have a federal holiday in February. I believe it's Monday, February 16th. So the next day, Tuesday, February 17th, we'll have a work session starting at 9 and a board meeting at 10. We'll reconvene in board meeting after that. And Tuesday, February 24th, 2026, work session at 2 p.m., board meeting at 6:30 p.m., and that's all the forward announcements I have today. Are there any other board announcements for today? Seeing none, I'd ask for a motion to adjourn this business meeting.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, but before we act on that, we have a work session agenda that reconvenes at 1 p.m., and I assume we will continue to do so unless commissioners propose otherwise.
Good with me.
Get her done.
Okay, great. We'll reconvene our work session at time certain 1 p.m. All those in favor of the motion, please vote by raising your hand or saying aye. Thank you, commissioners. Any opposed? The motion carries unanimously 5-0. See you at 1.